I think you'll find this super interesting. The term gaslighting has become very tainted by a movement on the right to claim that the use of the term gaslighting is in and of itself some kind of ruse. Now, the truth is that gaslighting is a real thing. Sometimes the word is applied correctly and sometimes it isn't. But generally speaking, gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which a person or a group covertly sows seeds of doubt in a targeted individual or group, making them question their own memory, perception, or judgment. So simply lying about something, telling a lie, it doesn't really rise to the level of being gaslighting in spirit or even by the letter of what it is. There has to be some kind of more calculated manipulative intent. And last night on his Fox News program, host Tucker Carlson casually claimed that he and his team weren't able to find any evidence that QAnon and Q even exist or that they have a following or that they're a thing. And part of the reason he says that he doesn't believe they exist is that he didn't find an official QAnon website, which, of course, if you know anything about QAnon, you would understand, well, they don't have a website. If somehow you're not aware of QAnon, I envy you. QAnon is a disproven right-wing conspiracy theory which claims that there's a secret cabal of Satan-worshiping pedophiles running a global child sex trafficking ring, and that they plotted against Donald Trump. Sometimes Hillary is involved, sometimes not. And that Donald Trump was sent to be president to root out these horrible people. Supporters of QAnon include white nationalists and other far-right extremists. And of course, they were major supporters of Donald Trump. And they were big players in continuing to sow the false stories of so-called voter fraud and election fraud in the time after the 2020 presidential election. Now, the people who believe in this stuff and support Trump through it definitely exist. They're obviously wrong on the facts. But Tucker here says, we can't find any evidence that this is even a thing. And this is a perfect example of gaslighting. Let's take a look at the video.
So it's worth finding out where the public is getting all this false information, this disinformation, as we'll call it. So we checked. We spent all day trying to locate the famous QAnon, which in the end we learned is not even a website. If it's out there, we could not find it. Then we checked Marjorie Taylor Greene's Twitter feed because we have heard she traffics in disinformation, CNN told us, but nothing there.
So Tucker learned that QAnon doesn't have a website. Well, we knew that. He says he couldn't find QAnon nor any evidence of disinformation posted by Marjorie Taylor Greene ever. This is truly gaslighting. First of all, the whole idea of Q from the beginning was they don't have a website. There's no QAnon Gazette. There's no Q report equivalent of the Drudge Report where they post their ideas and articles. The whole concept was this is here's a term, this is a sub rosa thing where there's supposedly an insider providing the information, posting it to obscure internet forums, and it's repeated or signal boosted by the followers of Q. So this is a red herring and it is gaslighting. Tucker not finding a website isn't evidence for or against anything. Now, mind you, Tucker is the same guy who says he mailed physical flash drives without having backed up the content across the country during his so-called investigation of Hunter Biden. So he's not necessarily the brightest guy when it comes to these investigations and informational security, but okay. Now, the extra gaslighting is Tucker and Fox News have actually been major amplifiers themselves of election-related disinformation, which plays right into the entire Q perspective. And they're being sued at this point for it, for repeating some of the same claims coming from the QAnon wing of the Republican Party, including that Donald Trump actually won the 2020 election. Now, in terms of, the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, he says, we looked at Marjorie Taylor Greene's Twitter. We didn't find any disinformation ever. That's a laughable joke. And she's promoted Q stuff for a very long time, but you don't need to go back very far. Just look at the stuff she's posted over the last 24 to 36 hours. This morning, Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted, quote, Democrats are so beholden to the abortion murder lobby and their blood money campaign contributions that they nominate a guy, Becerra, for Health and Human Services, who's fine with murdering babies up until the day they are born and maybe even after. That's not disinformation. Come on. And then also spreading disinformation about January 6th itself, tweeting, Speaker Pelosi, have you figured out who planted the pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC on January 5th? The night before the Capitol attack on January 6th, showing the attack was planned and not incited by President Trump and directed at both Republicans and Democrats. That's just the last 24 to 36 hours. And she's been spreading and repeating QAnon stuff for month after month after month. This is gaslighting. What Tucker Carlson did is gaslighting, making his viewers question their reality. Maybe QAnon doesn't even exist, in which case, by the way, it would make everything that Democrats are saying a lie, which is exactly the idea that populist Tucker Carlson wants to promulgate on his program. That's gaslighting. And unfortunately, you have a really willing audience, a really eager audience to follow whatever Tucker Carlson says on his program. Remember, Tucker Carlson's lawyers, Fox News lawyers used when defending Tucker Carlson in lawsuits, they used as a defense. Tucker Carlson shouldn't be interpreted as telling the truth. He's doing hyperbole and he's doing entertainment. He's not actually reporting facts on his program. That's what lawyers said under oath, not under oath. The lawyers aren't under oath in court proceedings defending the statements of Tucker Carlson. Just remember that when you watch his program. Today's show is sponsored by an excellent audiobook called Takeover: How a Conservative Student Club Captured the Supreme Court. This is the latest audiobook from Noah Feldman. It just came out, and Feldman actually narrates the audiobook himself. Noah Feldman, of course, is a Harvard law professor and constitutional scholar. You may remember him from his prominent role in Trump's impeachment #1. And the book Takeover looks at how the Federalist Society became the most powerful legal organization in the country. 6 of the 9 current Supreme Court justices are current or former members of the Federalist Society. And Takeover dives into what the organization is, what it stands for, its relationship with American politics. The Federalist Society is an organization anyone in my audience should be aware of. And the audiobook has a ton of excellent insight into it and the role it plays. I really enjoyed listening to the audiobook. I think anybody in my audience would as well. So grab Takeover by Noah Feldman. The audiobook is just $4.99 and you can get it at davidpakman.com/takeover or wherever you buy audiobooks.